At the revelation of St. Peter in his dream, the founder of the Boy Scout movement, Lord Baden-Powell, visited Japan. So it is said. Japan's beautiful nature, the well-preserved historic buildings, and what Japan had to offer impressed the religious-minded founder a great deal. About 60 years since the founder came to Japan, the 13th World Scout Jamboree took place on the foothills of sacred Mount Fuji for 9 days from August 2nd through the 10th, 1971, with scouts and leaders representing 88 countries from around the world attending. From the four corners of the earth, scouts were swarming into Asagiri Heights, Japan, the jamboree site where this quadrennial gathering of scouts from the world over was unfolded. Arriving scouts were full of expectations for what they were to have at this World Jamboree, the first one to be held in Japan. On arrival at the Jamboree site, national contingents were spread over 11 separate subcamps in troops of 40 strong. Their campsites were allocated so as to have troops of different nationalities mixed as much as possible. Unpacking their equipment, clearing and leveling the ground, receiving campcraft material from their subcamp headquarters, they set about to construct their campsite. And in a matter of hours, they completed all that was needed for a comfortable, healthy camp life. At the Central Plaza, 99 national flags of member countries of the World Scout Conference were hoisted, fluttering the hearts of participating scouts. The total ground space of the Jamboree site was 3,200,000 square meters. Participants totaled 23,000. On the grass-carpeted plain of Asagiri Heights, 7,000 multicolored tents bloomed like so many colorful flowers. The opening ceremony was solemnly conducted at the arena. Though most of the boys assembled here were strangers to one another until yesterday, they mingled together like grains in a melting pot and warmed up the friendship and brotherhood as scouts overnight. Bonded with the firm tie of the Scout movement, scouts of the world paraded proudly on the huge stage of the arena, one nation after another, with their national flag ahead of them. Following the raising of the Jamboree flags, national flags of the member countries and the World Scout flag, the Jamboree president, Mr. Taizo Ishizaka, declared the Jamboree open. Following this, the Scout declaration, speeches from honorable guests and messages were delivered. The opening ceremony reached its height of excitement when all the participants thronged in the huge arena, singing in a resounding chorus the official song of the 13th World Jamboree. The theme of this World Jamboree was For Understanding. In order to bring this theme into reality, without being troubled by language barriers, a wide game was carried out. All scouts wearing a card with one of 7 Japanese characters, so, na, e, yo, tsu, ne, ni, rushed out of camp and hunted throughout the whole Jamboree area for other boys with other characters so they could quickly complete the 7 given letters. When combined correctly, the word spelled the Scout motto, "Be prepared," in Japanese. Be prepared is the motto of the Scouts, and they were very rapid in accomplishing this game, and groups of 7 boys who successfully spelled the motto came out one after another.
Okay.
Exchanging their addresses among them and talking with each other, they spent a most pleasant time. The first step in understanding each other while enjoying a game ended with a big success. It was the Mount Fuji climb that the Scouts from all over the world had been longing for in great anxiety. The climbing of Mount Fuji, the symbol of Japan, was to be the most coveted venture for the Scouts. Under the motto of Safety First, a number of picked Scouts joined the ascending. Treading on the mountainous trail in a lengthy line, all the climbers were filled with excitement and aspiration to conquer the summit of Mount Fuji. As they approached their goal, the wind blew fiercely. Dense mist and drizzling rain hindered the visibility to such an extent that they could not see anything 10 meters away from them. However, at last, when they reached the top, they jubilantly shook hands with one another and congratulated each other on their achievement. Optional activities commenced at various locations in and out of the Jamboree site. Scouts enjoyed themselves in canoeing and boating at Lake Tanuki. At the fish pond, Scouts fished for trout. As they were allowed to take the catch to the camp for additional food on their menu, would-be fishermen were serious at fishing. At the archery range, Scouts practiced with their bows and arrows, like William Tell, Robin Hood, and Yoichi Nasuno. The Japanese traditional sports, sumo, or Japanese wrestling, attracted many scouts of different nations. Judo was demonstrated for the overseas scouts in order to have them comprehend correctly the spirit of Judaism. Kendo, Japanese fencing, was another sport featuring the Jamboree program. Instant men of arms fought desperately in a style of their own invention. Scouts displayed their routine scoutcraft training at jungle trail or cross-country fields. On August 4th, Typhoon Olive affected the weather around Mount Fuji. The Jamboree site was thrown in the midst of gusty winds and torrential rains for 3 days and 3 nights, until August 6th. Scouts were exposed to an unexpected ordeal which had not been scheduled in the original Jamboree program. However, the scout spirit was not daunted. Against strong winds and rains, they strengthened their tents, and some even placidly continued to swap badges in their tent. To the scouts, the effect of the typhoon seemed like nothing to be worried about, provided they were armed with the scouting spirit of be prepared. On the contrary, the typhoon seemed to be rather the kind of an enjoyable game. Singing and dancing in the rain, the scouts made the best of the situation, putting into practice the real scouting spirit of scouts face difficulty with a smile and a whistle. Scouts renewed their appreciation to the Rotary clubs and Lions clubs for the generous donation of the tents, which enabled the scouts to withstand the rigorous weather. After the typhoon, the campsite regained its vividness. Scouts went all over the campsite, promoting friendship and understanding. On August 7th, Their Highness the Crown Prince and Princess paid a visit to the Jamboree site. Their Highnesses were greeted by representative scouts of all participating countries. Scout astronaut Neil Armstrong, commander of Apollo 11 and the first man to set foot on the moon, and his son, Eric, were also present to meet and talk with Their Highness. The Crown Prince encouraged the Scouts by his message to the Scouts. Taking the opportunity, the Boy Scouts of Nippon honored the Crown Prince with the presentation of its highest Scout award, the Golden Pheasant Award. The Crown Prince and Princess proceeded to one of the storm-ravaged subcamps, Heian, and keenly inspected the Scouts who braved the typhoon. On Sunday morning, Scouts of different nations around the world attended religious worship services in accordance with their own religion and surrendered themselves to a solemn prayer.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Ma aghna anhu maluhu wa ma kasab. At the Skilorama, Scouts of the world demonstrated their national display and their scouting skills. On the stage, songs and dances from almost all over the world feasted the eyes of the Scouts as well as visitors. Their hearts were all in one. Apparently, this played a significant role in promoting understanding and deepening the friendship. spectacular big parade was unreeled at the arena. Scouts in national costumes paraded on the stage to introduce their national culture before thousands of scouts and visitors. Large papier-mâché carp briskly zigzagged on the stage carried by Japanese scouts and won a thunderous applause. Scottish dancing. Karaton dancing of the Philippines. American Indian dancing. Astronaut Armstrong inspired the scouts to live up to the spirit of for understanding and make yourself a good citizen of tomorrow's world. The big parade ended with a magnificent mass demonstration of 4,000 Japanese scouts depictive of a grand figure as large as a full-size size of Mount Fuji. Constituted an extremely impressive finale worthy of remembrance by all participating scouts. The time came for the 13th World Jamboree to be closed. The closing curtain was about to fall on the World Jamboree, which was held under the theme of For Understanding, on the slopes of the foothills of Mount Fuji. The Jamboree was a great success, even though there were distractions due to the typhoon-related rains and winds. Over the heads of the scouts yelling 3 cheers of Iya Saka and bidding farewell to each other, more than 1,000 fireworks bursted up in the skies, accumulating spectacularly in the closing of the Jamboree. Waving hands, bowing sayonara and see you again, in whatever languages they used, the scouts rushed in a frenzied crowd to the stage and scrammed shoulder to shoulder. The youthful energy exhaled from the scouts during these 9 days was a source of for understanding. As friendship is everlasting, mutual understanding is boundless. In 10 years, or 20 years' time, when these scouts grow up to play a useful part in the next generation, the Jamboree theme of For Understanding will become a strong instrument as a driving force to the furtherance of international understanding and world peace. Japan's beautiful nature, the well-preserved historic buildings, and what Japan had to offer impressed the religious-minded founder a great deal.
about 60 years since the founder came to Japan, the 13th World Scout Jamboree took place on the foothills of sacred Mount Fuji for 9 days from August 2nd through the 10th, At the revelation of St. Peter in his dream, the founder of the Boy Scout movement, Lord Baden-Powell, visited Japan, so it is said. Japan, the Jamboree site where this quadrennial gathering of scouts from the world over was unfolded. Arriving scouts were full of expectations for what they were to have at this World Jamboree, the first one to be held in Japan. On arrival at the Jamboree site, national contingents were spread over 11 separate subcamps in troops of 40 strong. Their campsites were allocated so as to have troops of different nationalities mixed as much as possible. Unpacking their equipment, clearing and leveling the ground, receiving campcraft material from their subcamp headquarters, they set about to construct their campsite. And in a matter of hours, they completed all that was needed for a comfortable, healthy camp life. In 1971, with scouts and leaders representing 88 countries from around the world attending. From the four corners of the earth, scouts were swarming into Asagiri Heights.